Some of the terms of finite geometric sequence.
Hola! This is Teacher SP. Today, we are going to learn about finite geometric series. In this lesson, you will learn how to compute for the sum of the finite geometric sequence. The sum of the finite geometric sequence is essential in the fields of economics and business. For example, predicting the profit of a certain product in a period of time, and solve mortgage problems too. So let us enjoy the scenery while we are learning. Let's go!
Consider the geometric sequence 1, 2, 4, 8, and so on. Show the sum of the first 12 terms of the geometric sequence whose ratio is 2. If we are going to continue the given sequence, we have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, 256, 512, 1024, and 2048. Each term after the other is multiplied by a common ratio of 2. Now, if we are going to add them all, we have 4095. There is another way of getting the sum of these numbers. Let's look at the following procedure. Let S sub 12 equals 1 plus 2 plus 4 plus 8 plus 16 plus 32 plus 64 plus 128 plus 256 plus 512 plus 1024 plus 2048. Now, let this be our equation 1. Remember, ito yung sequence natin kanina. Inadd lang natin lahat sila. And if we are going to multiply each one of them by 2, we have 1s sub 12 times 2 is 2s sub 12 equals, if we multiply 1 by 2, we have 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, and so on until we have 2048 times 2, which is 4096. Let this be our equation 2. Now, let us subtract equation 1 from equation 2. So, we have this one minus equation 1. Okay, now let's see. If we are going to subtract 2 from 2, it will already be cancelled o magiging 0 na. And then we have 4 minus 4. Remember, sinusubtract natin yung equation 1. Kaya instead na positive yan, magiging minus kasi nga nagsusubtract tayo. So we have 4 minus 4 instead, which is cancel na kasi 0 na siya. And also this one, 8 minus 8, 0 na rin. And so on. Ayan. So lahat yan nagiging 0 na. And then we have 2048 minus 2048, 0 na rin. Ang natira na lang natin, so we have 2s sub 12 minus 1s sub 12. Ayan na, isa na lang ng s sub 12 natin. 1s sub 12 equals. Ang natira sa kaliwa ay positive 1. But remember, sinubtract natin yung equation 1 from equation 2. So instead, we have negative 1. Ayan. So, yung natira sa ilalim, again, sinubtract kasi natin yan. So, instead na positive 1, naging negative 1 na siya. And then, dito naman sa right side, ang natira na lang ay 4096. And, hindi mababago yung sign yan kasi nandun yan sa taas. So, we have plus 4096. And in here, since magkaiba sila ng sign, we are going to subtract 4096 minus 1, which is 4095. Ayan. Pareho lang din kapag inisa-isa natin yung 1 plus 2 plus 4, etc. hanggang plus 2048. If we are going to add them all, we have 4095. Pero, hindi naman po pwedeng laging ganyan na mag-a-add lang tayo na mag-a-add. So, kinakailangan natin ng formula. E, paano kung ang ibinigay na sa atin ay sum ng sequence na to hanggang S sub 50 or 52? Or 1,000, di ba? Napakalaki. So, hindi po pwedeng mag-add lang tayo na mag-add. We have to use a formula for this. Formula derivation. The sum of the n terms of a finite geometric sequence can be represented by the equation. Ayan. So, parang yung inad lang natin kanina na s sub 12 equals 1 plus 2 plus 4 until plus 2048. So, this is how it works. Sa halip na s sub 12, i-represent natin siya in general form. So, we have s sub n equals, ang inad natin kanina, di ba 1? But 1 is actually our first term. And then we added 2. Ang 2 actually came from 1 times 2. At yung 2 natin, that is our ratio. And then yung 1, yun ang ating first term. And then we added 4. But 4 actually came from 1, which is our first term, times 2, times 2. Dalawang beses. So instead, yung ratio natin, square. So, a sub 1 r square. And then we added 8. 8 came from 1, which is our first term, times 2, times 2, times 2. Or tatlong beses ng ating ratio. So, 2 cube. Until we arrive at 2048. But 2048, yung pinaka-last term natin kanina, is actually 1 times 2 raised to the 11th power. So, in general form, ang ating representation ay a sub 1 r raised to n minus 1. Now, anong ginawa natin kanina sa equation 2? Diba, minultiply natin lahat sa 2? In here, instead na 2, mumultiply natin siya sa ratio. Diba? Kasi yung 2 natin kanina is our ratio. Now, we have s sub n times r is equal to r s sub n equals a sub 1 times r, eto na yon. And then a sub 1 r times r again, we have a sub 1 r square. A sub 1 r square times r again, we have a sub 1 r cube until we arrive at the last term. Diba, eto yung ating a sub 1 r raised to n minus 1 times r again. So we have a sub 1 r raised to n minus 1, di ba pagka-exponent, ina-add natin yung exponent. So, we will add another exponent na isa para dun sa r. So, what we have here, negative 1 plus 1, cancel na yon, 0 na kasi. So, ang matitira na lang is a sub 1 r raised to n. Now, we are going to subtract equation 2 from equation 1. Pwede rin namang equation 1 from equation 2, kaya lang, kailangan pa nating mag-multiply sa negative 1. So, pwede na rin to. If we are going to subtract s sub n minus r s sub n, tapos yung mga yan, yung nasa taas, and then yung nasa equation 2. So, alin ba yung magiging 0 dyan kanina, kagaya ng ginawa natin? 2 and 2, 4 and 4. So, in here, ang magiging 0 dyan, since we are subtracting lahat ng nasa ilalim, magiging negative. So, instead na a sub 1r, magiging positive, magiging negative. So, we have a sub 1r, ayan, nag-subtract muna, a sub n minus r s sub n. Ito na yun. Kasi hindi naman po pwedeng masubtract agad. Equals, ayan, naging 0 na. A sub 1r minus a sub 1r. 0 na yun. So, cancel na yun. Cancel na rin to. A sub 1r square minus a sub 1r square. Cancel na rin yan. At ito. So, ang matitira na lang sa atin, wait, erase ko lang muna para hindi kayo malito. Sa mga scratch ko, ayan. So, ang matitira na lang sa atin ay a sub 1, ayun. Tapos, di ba yung ilalim, since nag-subtract tayo, magiging negative na yan. So, instead na positive a sub 1 r raised to the n power, magiging negative a sub 1 r raised to the n. Okay? Now, ano ba yung common sa s sub n tsaka negative r s sub n na po pwede nating i-factor out? Isn't it that the common factor between them is s sub n? So, ilabas natin yon. And then, when we factor out, Ang factors niya ay 1 minus r. Paano nga nangyari yan? So, remember again na kapag multiply natin yung s sub n times 1, ito yung sagot. And then, if you are going to multiply s sub n times negative r is negative r s sub n. Ito naman yung sagot. Okay? So, yan ang factor niya. Equals. Sa kanilang dalawa naman, a sub 1 minus a sub 1 r raised to n. Ano yung kanilang common? Common factor. That is right. Ang common sa kanila ay a sub 1. Now, factor out ulit natin. So, we have times quantity 1 minus r raised to n. So, again, if we are going to check a sub 1 times 1, ito yon a sub 1. And then, a sub 1 times negative r raised to n is negative a sub 1 r raised to n. So, yan yung factor niya. Okay? Erase ko lang muna ulit ang aking scratch. Okay. And then, ayan, isusulat ko lang ulit. Ayan, para mas malawak yung ating screen. Now, how do we cancel 1 minus r? Kasi, di ba, ang kailangan lang natin yung s sub n para makuha natin yung formula. So, how do we cancel 1 minus r again? Right. We have to divide both sides by 1 minus r. So, cancel na yon. Ang natira na lang, s sub n is equal to, ito, yung kabuuan nito, which is a sub 1 times quantity 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. Ayan. Ito na ngayon ang ating formula sa pagkuha ng geometric series. Pero, dapat, ang ratio natin must not be equal to 1. Bakit? Pagka naging 1 yan, magiging 1 minus 1, which is 0. At hindi pwedeng maging 0 yung denominator natin kasi magiging undefined siya. Or, pwede rin naman ganito yung formula natin. S sub n is equal to, ayan. So, a sub 1 times 1 is a sub 1. And then, we have a sub 1 times negative r raised to n is negative a sub 1 r raised to n all over 1 minus r. Yan, ginaya lang. Pero, remember, di ba, ito yung ating equation para sa pagkuha ng geometric sequence? Di ba? Ito yon. Familiar kayo dyan. Now, if we are going to multiply both sides by r, we have a sub n times r, we have a sub n r equals a sub 1 r raised to n minus 1 times r. Anong ginagawa natin doon? Ulit, di ba may invisible siyang exponent na 1? So, ina-add natin ng exponent. And then, negative 1 plus 1, mawawala na, magiging 0 na. So, what is left is a sub n r equals a sub 1 r raised to n na lang. Okay. Pero, ito, di ba ito yun? Yan, oh, kapareho lang. Ayan. But this one is equal to this. So, ibig sabihin, pwede pa natin palitan yan nito. So, kasi equal lang naman sila. So, pwede natin ang ipalit dito, yan, katulad yan, ay etong equation niya. So, we have, ayan, ginaya ko lang yung s sub n is equal to a sub 1 minus, ayan na, pinalitan na natin to. Yan, dito yan galing ng ito. All over 1 minus r. Okay. So, eto na ngayon ang ating pangalawang formula. Bakit nga ba dalawa yung ating formula? Okay, i-rewrite ko lang Geometric series formula is S sub n equals a sub 1 times 1 minus r raised to n all over 1 minus r. Ito yung una nating dinerive na formula. At yung pangalawa naman is a sub n equals a sub 1 minus a sub n times r. Ulitin ko. S sub n is equal to a sub 1 minus a sub n times r all over 1 minus r. So, bakit dalawa? This one, yung pangalawa natin, remember, meron siyang a sub n. Meaning, ginagamit natin yung pangalawang formula if last term is given. Let us have example 1. What is the sum of the first 30 terms of the geometric sequence 20, negative 20, 20, negative 20, and so on hanggang 30th term? Okay, ngayon kunin muna natin yung ating mga given. Okay, what is our first term? Tama, it's 20. How about the ratio? Okay, remember ang ratio is the second term divided by the first term or negative 20 divided by 20. Pwede rin namang third term divided by the second term or 20 divided by negative 20, which is negative 1. And ang n natin, since we are looking for the sum of the first 30 terms, so ang n natin is 30. And we are looking for s sub 30. Okay, with this formula, we will now substitute for the values of those we need to replace. So we are looking for s sub 30 equals, ano nga yung ating first term? First term is 20 times 1 minus, laging 1 yan, minus, at ang r natin, ang ratio natin is negative 1, and then ang value ng n natin is 30. All over 1 minus, ang r natin is negative 1. Okay, now we have s sub 30 is equal to 20 times 1 minus, and what is negative 1 raised to 30? Okay, baka ang sagot nyo, negative 30 or 30 ah. Let's see muna kung paano pinakamadaling gawin yan. Okay. Bago natin ituloy yung ating solution, check muna natin to. What is negative 1 square? Negative 1 square means negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1. How about negative 1 cube? That means negative 1 times negative 1 times negative 1, which is negative times negative, positive times negative is negative. And 1 times 1 times 1 is 1. So negative 1 cube is negative 1. How about negative 1 to the 4th power? So, syempre, 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, apat na beses 1 pa rin. Pero tiyan natin yung sign. Negative times negative times negative times negative, which is positive 1. Okay, ulit. Negative times negative, positive. Isa pa ulit negative, pangatlo na is negative. Isa pa ulit negative, pang-apat na is positive. And how about negative 1 raised to the 5th power? That's negative times negative times negative times negative times negative, 5 beses, which is actually negative 1. Oh, what have you observed? Kailan positive 1? Kailan naman negative 1? Okay, so kung makikita nyo, kapag ang exponent niya ay even, which is 2, 4, 6, 8, etc., ang ating sagot, pagka ni-raise natin yung negative 1 ay positive. Pagka naman ang ating exponent ay odd number like 3, 5, 7, 9, etc., ang ating sagot pag ni-raise ang negative 1 ay negative. Ayan. So, madali natin masasagot. What is the value of negative 1 raised to the 30th power? Okay, erase ko muna ulit yung ating scratch ha. Ayan. So now, what is negative 1? Negative 1 raised to the 30th power. It's easier to answer that now because we have positive 1. Kasi yung 30 is an even number. Yan, kagaya ng 2, 4. So, positive 1. All over, what is negative times negative? That's positive 1. Now, we have s sub 30 is equal to 20 and then 1 minus 1, 0 na. all over 1 plus 1 is 2. S sub 30 is equal to 20 times 0 is 0. Divided by 2 ay 0 pa rin. Ayan. So, ang sum ng first 30 terms of this geometric sequence is 0. Ang haba-haba, no? 0 rin pala. Mamaya, bibigyan ko kayo kung ano ang shortcut yan. Let us have another example para mas maintindihan natin kung paano mag-solve ng geometric series. Now, in here, what is the sum of the first 31 terms of the geometric sequence? Ganun pa rin yung ating sequence, pero S sub 31 ang ating hinahanap. So, with the given, we have A sub 1, first term natin is 20. Ratio natin is negative 20 divided by 20, or 20 divided by negative 20. Second term divided by first term is negative 1. And then the number of terms is right now 31 naman. And then we will be looking for S sub 31. With this equation, let us again substitute the values. So S sub 31 is equal to, our first term is still 20 pa rin, times 1 minus, ang ratio natin is negative 1, raised to 31st power. All over 1 minus, ang ratio natin is negative 1. And then we have S sub 31 is equal to 20 times 1 minus negative 1 raised to 31st. Yan, add. So, ibig sabihin, pag add, yung negative 1 raised to 31st is just equal to negative 1. All over, negative times negative is positive. So, we have 1 plus 1 na. And then, S sub 31 is equal to 20 times 1 times, negative times negative is positive. So, we have positive 1 plus 1 is 2 all over 2 equals, so pwedeng i-cancel yan, or we can also have 20 times 2 is 40 divided by 2. So, S sub 31 is equal to 20. Ito na yung ating shortcut. So, pero itong shortcut na to only applies if the ratio is negative 1. Okay. So, ang sum natin ng geometric sequence or ang geometric series natin, ang sagot, 0 kapag ang hinahanap natin ay, ang number of terms natin ay even. Kagaya nung kanina, S sub 30. So, 30 is an even number. Therefore, ang series natin ay 0. At, kung ano yung first term natin, yun ang ating sum. Kung ang n naman natin ay odd number, kagaya ng pangalawang example, S sub 31. 31 is an odd number, kaya ang sagot natin is 20, diba? At yung 20, yun ang ating first term. Wala yung shortcut doon. Okay, tingnan natin kung mabilis nating masasagot to. Okay, ito yung ating guide. Number 1, or letter A. We will be looking for S sub 10 of the sequence 3, negative 3, 3, negative 3. Check nyo muna kung ang ratio natin ay negative 1. Is it? Yes, the ratio is negative 1. Therefore, ang S sub 10, since 10 ay even number, therefore, ang sum niya ay 0. Ganun lang pala yun. Again, only applies if the ratio is negative 1, ha? Example B, sum of the 13 terms of 3, negative 3, 3, negative 3. Again, the ratio is negative 1. And then we are looking for S sub 13. And 13 is an odd number. Therefore, ang sum natin ay kung ano yung first term, which is positive 3. Ayan. And example C, sum of the 15 terms of negative 3, 3, negative 3, 3. So again, the ratio is negative 1, and we are looking for S sub 13, and 15 I mean, and 15 is an odd number, therefore, ang sum niya ay kung ano yung first term, which is negative 3. Okay? Example 3. What is the sum of the first 8 terms of the geometric sequence 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and so on until the 8 terms. Okay, given muna tayo. S sub 8 ang ating nawawala, therefore, ang n natin ay 8. The first term is 1, and then the ratio is a second term divided by the first term, or third term divided by the second term. 2 divided by 1 is just equal to 2. Now, from the formula, let us substitute the values. So, we will be looking for S sub 8 is equal to, the first term is 1, times 1 minus, laging 1 minus yan, laging 1, and then negative. Our ratio is 2 raised to, ang n natin ay 8, all over 1 minus, dito galing yan. And then, let us substitute the value of the ratio, which is 2. And then, we have S sub 8 is equal to 1 times 1 minus 2 raised to 8 is equal to 256 divided by 1 minus 2 is negative 1. And then, we have S sub 8 is equal to 1. 1 minus 256 is just equal to negative 255 all over negative 1. And then we have 1 times negative 255 is negative 255 divided by negative 1. Therefore, we have negative 255 divided by negative 1 is positive 255. So, yun ang sum ng ating first 8 terms from this given sequence. Example 4. What is the sum of the first 8 terms of the geometric sequence 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, and so on? Okay, again, let's get first the given. S sub 8 ang ating hinahanap. N is equal to 8. Of course, dyan makikita yan. Ang first term natin is 16. Ang ratio natin is second term divided by the first term, or 8 divided by 16. Lowest term niya is 1/2, or divide both by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 16 divided by 8 is 2. And then with this formula, substitute ulit tayo. S sub 8 is equal to, the first term is 16 times the quantity 1 minus, ang ratio naman natin ay 1/2, raised to 8, all over 1 minus 1/2. And then we have S sub 8 is equal to 16 times 1 minus 1 raised to 8 is 1, 2 raised to 8 is 256. Ulitin natin ha, isa-isa niyong erase sa exponent na 8. So 1 raised to 8 is 1, 2 raised to 8 is 256. Hindi 2 times 8 yan. 2 raised to 8 means 2 times 2 times 2, 8 beses. Ganun din sa 1. 1, hindi yan 1 times 8. That's 1 times 1 times 1, 8 beses. Okay? All over 1 minus 1/2, of course, we have 1/2. Ayan, medyo humihirap na kasi may fraction na. Then we have S sub 8 is equal to 16. Kunin natin yung lowest term, yung least common denominator ng 1 and 256. Remember, yung 1 na yan, meron siyang invisible na 1 sa ilalim. At ang number na po pwedeng i-divide sa 1 at 256 ay 256. Ulitin ko, may invisible 1 yan. And then 1 and 256, yung number na po pwedeng i-divide sa kanilang dalawa is 256. And then, paano nga ulit natin sinusolve yan? So, we have 256, ito, 256, divided by yung invisible 1 niya, ulit, 256 divided by 1 is 256 times 1 is 256. Okay, dito naman, 256 divided by 256 is 1 times 1 ay 1 pa rin. Ulitin ko ha. Ulitin natin para mas maintindihan nyo. Ang LCD ng 1 at 256 is 256. And then divide, tapos times. Divide natin yung 256 by the invisible 1, itong denominator. So again, 256 divided by 1 is 256. And then times, yung nasa taas, 1 is 256 pa rin. And then 256 divided by, ito naman, isa, 256 is 1 times negative 1. Negative kasi yun eh. Is negative 1. Ayun. All over 1/2. Okay, burahin ko lang muna ulit para hindi magulo yung ating solusyon. All over 1/2. And then we have S. Ayan. Nire-write ko lang sa mas malaking screen. And then we have S sub 8 is equal to 16. Again, times 256 minus 1 all over 256 divided by 1/2. All over 1/2. So we have 16 is equal to 256 minus 1 is 255 all over 256 divided by 1/2. And then we have S sub 8 is equal to 16 times 255 is 4,080 all over 256. Yun lang. Kasi meron siyang invisible na 1 sa ilalim, diba? So, i-multiply lang natin yung taas sa taas. So, again, 16 times 255 is 4,080. And then 1 times 256 is 256. All over 1/2. Ayan. And then, what do we have next? So, paano tayo magda-divide ng fraction divided by fraction? We have 4,080 all over 256 times the reciprocal of the denominator. So, sa halip na 1 over 2, we have times 2 over 1. And then 2 and 256 can be divided by 2. So, 2 divided by 2 is 1. 256 divided by 2 is 128. And then we have S sub 8 is equal to, multiply lang natin yung taas sa taas. So, 4,080 times 1 is 4,080 all over 128 divided by 1, times 1 I mean, is 128. Divide both sides by 16 kasi pwede pa siyang simplify. So, yung taas sa yung baba can still be divided by 16. Pwede rin by 2, pero pwede pa ulit sa 2. Pwede pa ulit sa 2. Until ang ating greatest common factor sa kanila ay 16. So, S sub 8 is equal to 255 divided by 8. Again, 4,080 divided by 16 is 255 all over 128 divided by 16 is 8. Yan. So, eto ngayon ang ating sum mula 16 hanggang 8 terms niya pag in-add natin. So, 255 over 8. Pwede rin naman siyang gawing decimal. Okay? Pero pwede na rin yung fraction. That's it. Example 5. The sum of the first n terms in the geometric sequence 4, 12, 36, and so on is 4,372. How many terms are there if the common ratio is 3? Now, in this example, binigay na yung sum, which is 4,372. Pero, hindi natin alam kung ilang terms yung in-add para maging ito yung sum. And, ang nawawala ay yung number of terms with the common ratio of 3. So, kunin muna natin yung given. Ang sum natin is 4,372, but we don't know yet kung ilang number of terms yan lahat. So, yun ang ating missing. The first term is 4, and the ratio is 3. Okay, binigay naman yung common ratio. Pero kahit na hindi pa binigay, makukuha pa rin natin yung common ratio here, which is second term divided by the first, which is just equal to 3. And then with this formula, let us substitute the values. Ang sum natin ay 4,372 is equal to, the first term is 4 times 1 minus, ang ratio natin is 3, and then we don't have n yet, the value of n, all over 1 minus, ang ratio natin is 3. Lipat lang natin sa mas malaking sa board. Okay, so we have 4,372 is equal to 4 times the quantity 1 minus 3 raised to n all over 1 minus 3. So, ito muna. 1 minus 3 is negative 2. And then, pwede naman nating i-divide yung 4 tsaka negative 2. Meron siyang common factor. Or pwede rin naman nating i-cross multiply. Pero mas madali kung i-divide natin both sides by negative 2. I mean both numbers. So, 4, negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. And then 4 divided by negative 2 is negative 2. So, we have now 4,372 is equal to negative 2 times the quantity 1 minus 3 raised to n. Okay, para ma-cancel yung negative 2, nakatabi nito, so we have to divide both sides by negative 2. Ayan, cancel na. And then we have 4,372 divided by negative 2 is negative 2,186 is equal to, ginaya ko lang yung natitira sa kanan. 1 na yon, okay na yon. So, 1 minus 3 raised to n. And then, yung negative 3 raised to n, lipat natin sa kaliwa para maging positive. And then, matitira sa kanan ay 1 na lang. Tapos, yung negative 2,186, when we transpose it to the right or by addition property, i-add natin yung positive 2,186 on both sides. 0 na sa left. So, we have 1 plus 2,186. And then, we have 3 raised to n is equal to 2,187. Now, recall natin, paano nga tayo nagsosolve ng exponential equation? Di ba dapat pareho sila ng base, which is 3? So, erase natin yung 3 sa kung anumang exponent para maging 2,187. And that is 3 raised to 7. Ulitin ko, yung 2,187 is just equal to 3 raised to 7. Kasi ang ating purpose, dapat pareho sila ng base na 3. Now, if they have the same base already, isosolve na natin yung exponent, which is n is equal to 7. So, that is how we solve for the number of terms. Example 6. The first term of a geometric sequence is 3, and the last term is 192. If the sum of the terms of the sequence is 129, what is the common ratio? Again, isulat muna natin lahat ng mga given. Now, we have the first term, which is 3. Ayun. The last term is given, which is 192. And the sum is also given, which is 129. And we are asked to find the common ratio. Now, using this formula, remember, dalawa yung ating formulang dinerive kanina. Isa na po pwede natin magamit if the last term is given. So, substitute lang natin yung values. Our sum is 129 equals the value of the first term, which is 3, minus ang last term natin ay, ito yun, 192, and the ratio is not yet given, divided by 1 minus ratio. Now, nire-write ko lang ulit para mas malaki yung ating space to solve this problem. What do we do here? We just have to cross multiply. That's 129 times the quantity 1 minus r. So, we have 129 times 1 minus r equals, remember na ang 129 ay may invisible denominator na 1. So, if we cross multiply, we have 1 times 3 minus 192r is just the same as 3 minus 192r. Kasi times 1 lang naman. And then, by distributive property, we have 129 times 1 equals 129. And then, 129 times negative r is negative 129r. Equals, yan, gayahin lang natin yung nasa kanan. And then, pagsamahin natin yung mga variables. So, yung 3 is still on the right side of the equation, and yung negative 129r is on the left side pa rin naman. Ayan, nandyan, and then, ito nasa kanan. We will transpose negative 192r to the left, so it will become positive 192r. And we will transpose 129 to the right of the equation, so we have negative 129. Simplifying both, we have 192r minus 129r equals 63r. And 3 minus 129 is negative 126. Now, para makancel yung 63, we have to divide 63 on both sides of the equation. So, 63 divided by 63 is already 1. So, cancel na siya. And ang natira na lang natin sa left side of the equation is r equals negative 126 divided by 63 is negative 2. So, this is our ratio.
I hope you have learned something today. Don't forget to like and subscribe in my YouTube channel. This is Miss SP Ventura saying, learning math is easy with Teacher SP. Thank you for watching.